Yo, what goes down, everybody? Walker Dead Phoenix here, back again with another episode for you guys. As you can tell from the title and from the thumbnail, this is Season 1, Episode 8 of my Future Flash series, titled Merry Christmas. Thank you all so much for the love and support, I do appreciate it. And yeah, let's get into this episode now, shall we? The episode begins with very touching the Christmas decorations, as she is, as well as he is, like, choosing which decoration to put on the tree next. Joe's like, "You're gonna give me the next decoration?" Barry's like, "Yeah, just give me a second. Here, how about this one to know?" Joe's like, "Yeah, that'll work fine." And then Barry says, "By this way, we'll be finished by Easter." Joe says, "Yeah, right." And then Linda comes in the room and she jokes, saying, "Come on, guys, these ornaments aren't going to hang themselves, you know." And then Barry says, "Yeah, right." "Don't worry, me and Joe got it." And then Joe's like, "Barry, you want to go to the table to have some coffee?" Barry's like, "Sure." As Barry, Joe, and Linda sit down on the table. As they all sit down, Linda's like, "Hey, where's Iris, your daughter, and her husband?" Joe's like, "They couldn't make it. But on the bright side, we're having a really decent Christmas this year. I can already feel it in my stomach. But Iris and her husband wishes us a special Merry Christmas this year." And then Bear's like, "You okay?" Joe's like, "Yeah. Why do you ask?" Barry says, "No, nothing. Just wondering." Linda says, "So what are you going to do for Christmas this year, Barry?" Barry says, "I have no idea. Probably just stay home and drink some coffee and probably chill with my friends. If that's even possible." Linda says, "That's understandable." The next shot pans out where Barry runs to Star Labs. Barry's like, "Merry Christmas. A small token of everything you guys have done for me this year." And then Dr. Wells says, I think I speak on behalf of my colleagues that you have been a gift for us, Barry." Barry says, "Thanks, Dr. Wells." Dr. Wells says, "Don't mention it." Felicity says, "Ooh, nice. Thanks, Barry." And then Barry reaches for his bag, and then Caitlin's like, "Oh, what's that?" And then Barry says, "This is coffee. The best in Central City. I was able to pour a lot of it into this mug before I got here. You guys want to try?" And then Dr. Wells is like, "No, thank you. Not for me. Wouldn't want to drink and drive." As he rolls away. And then Barry looks at Caitlin, and Barry's like, "Did I say something wrong?" And then Caitlin says, "No." And then Cisco's like, "Nah, man. It's just the accident with him and his wife happened the day before Christmas. Kind of ruined his feel of the holidays for him." Barry's like, I didn't know." Caitlin's like, "It's okay. Just let's focus on the positive here. I'm going to try and get him something, and hopefully that will, get him to cheer up. But thank you for this. I really appreciate it." Barry says, "No, don't mention it." As Caitlin walks away, then Barry turns to Cisco, and Barry's like, "So what are you going to do for Christmas this year, Cisco?" Cisco's like, "Oh, I have no idea." The next shot is at Mercury Labs. We see this device, but then we see the scientists and these two security guards walking down the hallway. One of these security guards is like, "Merry Christmas, Doctor." The doctor says, "Thanks, Jimmy. Merry Christmas to you, too." And then the security guard's like, "Hey, Doc, I know this is like a big secret, but can you give me like a tease? Like, what exactly are you working on in there?" And then the doctor says, "The future." But then half of the lights go off and the alarms begin sounding, and the alarms are going off like crazy. The two security guards and the doctor notice this. The security guard, Jimmy, screams, saying, "Doctor, get inside! Lock down the proximity! Go, now!" As these two security guards take out their weapons. As they begin aiming their weapons, the doctor gets in the pod with the device. As the doctor's looking through the glass, he sees something completely unbelievable. He sees the reverse flash straight up killing these 2 security guards, snapping their necks in cold blood. He runs straight to the glass pod. As he is looking through the window, he sees the doctor, and they're having like this stand down. The doctor is in complete and utter shock as to what he's seeing. But then the reverse flash, after realizing he can't get in, runs away. The next shot pans out where we see Barry, Joe, and the CCPD police officers investigating the crime scene. Joe walks in and he's like, "Hey, so, what are you thinking?" And then Barry stands up and he says, "I'm thinking the blood splatter and the remains match the same MO from a previous case many years ago. However, to cause this type of damage to a human being at this space had to be moving incredibly fast." And then Joe reacts to this. He's in complete and utter shock and fear. But before Barry could say anything about it, the scientist is like, "Detective, can I talk to you for a minute? I saw a blur." And then Barry's like, "What?" As he walks with Joe, and then Barry's like, "Wait, you saw a blur? What did it look like? Like, what was it?" And then the doctor's like, "Whatever it was, it looked like you was looking for something." "Well, what did it look like exactly? Do you have an description of who it could be?" And the doctor's like, "It looked like a man in some kind of yellow suit." And Barry says, "Okay," but then that's where Barry freaks out. It looks like he's about to run, but then Joe stops him. He's like, "Barry, you take a step back." And then Barry's like, "You heard him, Joe. The man that killed my mom, he's in town. Not only that, he's back." And then Joe says, "Listen, I know. He's been in town for like a few weeks now. He paid a visit to me at the house. Took all the photos and files from your dad's case. Meaning all the files are gone." And then Barry's like, "How come you didn't tell me this sooner?" And then Joe's like, "I couldn't." And then Barry's like, "Why?" And then Joe straight up tells Barry, because he threatened to kill Iris. After hearing this, Barry doesn't say anything. The next shot is back at Star Labs. Joe is talking with Felicity, Caitlin, Cisco, and Dr. Wells, with Barry sitting down in a chair right next to him. And then that's where Joe tells the team, "The witness described seeing a yellow blur, just like the one that killed Barry's mother." And then Cisco says, "Then we gotta get cracking and stop this speed psycho. Don't worry, that wasn't me coming up with a name for him." And then Barry straight up says, "The crime scene at Mercury Labs was on a floor of highly secure vaults, and the witness said he was looking for something." And Dr. Wells says, "Whatever it was, he wanted it badly enough to kill for it." And then Joe's like, "Doctor, what do you know about this Mercury Labs?" And then Dr. Wells like, "Mercury Labs was one of Star Labs' most biggest competitors." And then a little setback, and then, well, as you could probably guess, catapulted back to the forefront, led by Dr. Christina McGee, a brilliant egocentric scientist. She is also CEO of the company. And then Felicity says, "It says here, Dr. McGee has secured $500 million in private funding to develop," and I quote, "prototypes for the technology of the future." And then Dr. Wells is like, "Well, damn. It sounds like Tina's messing with tachyons." And then Dr. Wells looks at Joe and he says, "It's medium particles." And then Joe's like, "Well, what can someone do with one of those tachyons?" And then Dr. Wells is like, "Oh, I don't know. Maybe if, to the person's chest for quite a while, especially if it's like, say, a speedster, they could maybe run faster than the speed of light, especially if you could create a matrix fast enough and strong enough to stabilize its power. And if the person's able to achieve something like that, the person could become incredibly dangerous." And then Barry says, "Okay, then we need to find a way to get what Mercury has on the device, and we need to get it. And once we have it, we could probably use it as a lure, and maybe we could set up here set up here to start labs. Dr. Wells says, right. Cisco, Felicity, if you would help me prepare a trap. Cisco says, don't worry. We're on it, Dr. Wells. The next shot pans out. It's at the CCPD Police Department. We see Dr. Wells in his chair, but then we see Dr. Christina McGee. And then Barry's like, hi. And then Dr. McGee's like, hi. Dr. Christina McGee of Mercury Labs. And then Barry's like, it's nice to meet you. And then Christina's like, what is it? And then Barry's like, no. It's, well, you're not what I expected. But it's nice to meet you, Doctor. And then Christina's like, please, Mr. Allen, call me Christina. Christina's like, I assume this is about to break out at, break in at Mercury Labs? Dr. Wells says yes and no. Then Dr. McGee says, meaning. And then Barry says, meaning, we believe whoever broke in is after one of your prototypes. And then Christina's like, which one are we talking about here? And Barry says, the one containing tachyon particles. And then Christina says, well, we have had success with our tachyons, yeah, but there's been a significant gap between our prototypes and signing the deal to get more developed and actual fundings. And then Barry's like, we were hoping you could lend us your prototype as a lure, so that if the person breaks into the building, we can catch him in one fell swoop. Me and the police. Dr. McGee says it's risky. All right, fine. You'll have it within the hour. As Tina smiles. Barry says, thank you so much. Dr. McGee says, don't mention it. Walks away. The next shot is Barry looking at his evidence board. And he is going over his mom's case. As he is looking at the photos. We get this flashback of a younger Barry with his mom. Nora says, don't worry. The bruises are slowly healing. And then young Barry's like, it still hurts though. And then Nora says, but not for much longer, honey. Here, come on. I'll keep the light on for you. Were you ever afraid of the dark, Mom? And Nora's like, if I turn off this light now, would you be scared? Young Barry says, no. And then Nora says, that's because I'm here with you. See? You're not afraid of the dark, Barry. You're afraid of being alone in the dark. And that goes away when you realize something. You're never really alone. As Barry smiles. Henry Allen comes in the room and he says, time for bed. And then young Barry says, I'm thirsty. And then Henry Allen's like, you're stalling. But don't worry, I got you covered, buddy. Good night, Slugger. As he kisses young Barry on the forehead. And then Nora looks into his son's eyes and says, sleep dreams, my beautiful boy. As Nora kisses young Barry on the forehead as well. And then says, I love you. And then Barry looks at his mom and says, you can turn off the light. As Nora turns off the light. As young Barry wakes up, he hears thunder, but then he looks at his fish tank and sees the fish tank, the water in the fish tank is slowly rising up. And young Barry's like, what the heck? As he goes downstairs, he sees the blue and red lightning. And he also sees his mom screaming.
Larry! Run! Run!
Young Barry says, Mom! And then Nora's like,
Larry! Larry!
Then Nora continues to scream. Then Patty's like, Barry, you alright? I called your name like 5 times. And Patty's like, your mom's case. And then Barry says, I used to study this board every day. And then Barry says, lately, I haven't been looking at it as much as I should have. And Patty says, I didn't know you did that. And Barry says, I guess there's still some things about me that you don't know. And Barry's like, I was wondering if you would like to go out to eat sometime. And then Patty says, I can't, unfortunately. I have a date. Barry says, a date? With who? And Patty says, with Eddie. He asked me if I wanted to go out with him, and I said yes. Barry says, that's great. Patty says, thanks. Oh, it's already 8:30. I should get going. But Merry Christmas, Barry. Barry says, Merry Christmas. As Patty begins walking away, Barry straight up starts looking outside the window. As he is looking outside the window, he sees the reverse flash, and Barry is in complete and utter shock by this and in anger. As the reverse flash starts running, Barry starts running as well. As Barry catches up with the reverse flash, Barry's like, it was you! You were in my house that night! You killed my mother! Why? Then the reverse flash is like,
if you really want to know that, you're gonna have to catch me.
As the two begin running. As the two are running, they are running and absolutely running. Barry is trying to catch up to the reverse flash, but is unable to catch up to him. They go to the stadium. As Barry gets there, he slowly sees the lights coming on, and then he sees the reverse flash in front of him. As they both have this stare down with each other, they begin running at each other. As they do so, Barry just falls to the ground. The reverse flash kicks him in the stomach and straight up says,
Not fast enough, Flash.
As Barry gets up and starts running after the reverse flash, they are running around the stadium. As the reverse flash is hitting Barry, Barry hits back at the reverse flash as they keep hitting each other. As they enter the stadium again, the reverse flash throws Barry across the stadium, and then he kicks him again, but only this time to his face. And then the reverse flash runs, but only this time he's facing straight at Barry. Barry, out of pure fear and confusion, he straight up yells to the reverse flash, "Who are you?" Then the reverse flash is
like, oh, you know who I am, Barry.
Then Barry tries to attack the reverse flash again, but the reverse flash dodges the attack. And then the reverse flash once again throws Barry to the ground. And Barry's like, I don't know who you are. And the reverse flash is like,
But you do, Barry. Don't you see? We've been at this a long time, you and I. But, as you in the future would say, I'm always one step ahead.
As Barry tries to hit the reverse flash deflects the attack and hits Barry through the stomach, and then he slowly runs around the stadium, tackling Barry to the ground. As the reverse flash does so, he whispers in Barry's ear,
It is your destiny to lose to me, Flash, as it was your mother's destiny to die that night.
As the reverse flash straight up runs away, and Barry just doesn't move. The next shot is back at Star Labs, and Barry is talking with Joe and Dr. Wells. As he is talking with them, he acted like he knew me, like we've done this before. And Joe's like, he was antagonizing you, Bear. And Barry says, I would get close and then he would just pull away. It was some kind of sick game to him. And then Dr. Wells is like, don't worry, we'll catch him. Me and Joe will help. And then Barry's like, no, you guys don't get it. His speed, it was beyond me. I'm not the fastest man alive. He is. So how do I catch somebody that even I can't keep up with? The beautiful thing about force fields, Mr. Allen, is that they're oblivious to speed. Now, me, Cisco, and Felicity will finish replicating the trap, while Joe and his partner, Detective Dawn, secure the bait. And Joe says, I'm on it. Don't worry. And then Joe's like, Barry, why don't you just stay here for now? And then Barry snaps back at Joe saying, No, Joe, this is not the time for me to just sit down and just do nothing, alright? As Barry walks away, leaving Star Labs. The next shot is at Iron Heights. Barry visits his dad. As Barry picks up the prison phone, Henry Allen's like, Merry Christmas, Slugger. And then Barry's like, Merry Christmas, Dad. And Henry is like, "You okay, Barry?" Barry shakes his head no. And then he finally speaks, saying, "I screwed up, Dad. After so many years of searching, I finally found him. The man who killed Mom. The man in yellow, the one with the lightning. He was there in front of me. And I had him. And I promise you, I would help get you out of here. And now you're still in here because of me, and I'm I'm so sorry. Every day you spent in here, it was because of him. I'm sorry. I failed. I failed." Then Henry's like, "Barry, listen to me. It is not your fault. And yeah, I know you have given up. Every decision you have made these past 15 years, what you given up, what you worked so hard for, what you studied with becoming a CSI, hell, even with Iris." And Barry's like, "Iris." And then Henry's like, "My son. You don't think I didn't know how much you used to have a crush on her? But you never pursued her. Because you were too focused of what had happened between me and your mom to let yourself have a life. Or let it go now, Barry. Hear me now. This man in the yellow suit, he's taken enough from us already. Don't let him take any more. That's it too. Don't say anything." The next shot is with Barry and Linda. As Barry sits down on the couch, he sees Linda putting up some Christmas decorations. Linda's like, "Look, I was able to finally finish some of these decorations, thank God. You okay, Barry?" Barry's like, "I don't know, Linda, I had a very rough day. Well, night, as I should say." Linda's like, "What's wrong?" Barry then opens up and says, "I saw him, Linda. The man in the yellow fucking suit. I saw him, but he got away. You know, my dad's still in prison and I don't know what to do. I don't even know what to do anymore, you know? I feel like now I'm back at square one. You know? I don't know. Heck, how can I enjoy any holiday if I'm so worried about one thing, you know?" I know not a lot of people have asked me what I wanted for Christmas this year, but if I was to ask one fucking thing for Christmas this year, it would be for my dad to be here, for my mom to be here, for the man in the yellow suit to be rotting in hell. Not only that, behind a cell forever, for the rest of his life, for what he did to my mother, you know? I don't know what to do. Linda's like, "Barry, look at me. Barry Allen. I've known you almost my whole life. If there's anyone that can figure out how to stop the man in yellow, it's you. Don't you see? You're so worried about what happened to your mom, you're not seeing what's right in front of you. Christmas. The new year of 2015. Hell, even what you can still achieve. You know what I mean? So, don't let the negativity go through your mind. Focus on where you want to go moving forward, not where you have been before. Barry says, thanks, Linda. You're a really good friend. Linda says, don't mention it. That's the two hug. The next shot is back at Star Labs. It's nighttime at this point. We see Dr. Wells with Caitlin, Felicity, and Cisco. They are with Eddie, Joe, and with other members of the CCPD Metahuman Task Force. Cisco says, I'm sending out another post now. Eddie's like, are you guys certain this trap will work? And then Cisco says, I set up a total of 3 charges within an open satellite. Meaning, if anyone is trying to steal some tachyon particles, don't know, we got them. As they are looking at the monitors, they see the reverse flash in the trap. Felicity's like, we got him. I can't believe it worked. And then we see the reverse flash hitting the beams that are centered around the cage. Then Dr. Wells straight up says, let's go see what we caught. The next shot pans out where the elevator opens. Joe, Eddie, the police officers, and Dr. Wells slowly get out of the elevator as they all slowly walk towards the cell. Eddie is in complete and utter shock as to what he is seeing, and he is just like, holy smokes. As Dr. Wells is rolling in his wheelchair, he screams, Cisco! Turn on the lights! And Cisco says, sure thing, Dr. Wells. Everyone begins looking at the reverse flash. Even Eddie is looking at him like holy smokes. And the police officers have their guns ready to go. Then Dr. Wells like, Detective Don, would you be a gentleman and read this criminal his rights? As Joe is walking forward, Eddie's like, Joe, what are you doing? And then Joe's like, getting answers. Then Joe says, 15 years ago, you murdered Nora Allen. I want to know why. Why? As the reverse flash is looking at Joe, he then turns to Dr. Wells and he straight up says,
Dr. Wells, so we see each other at last.
Then Dr. Wells is like, what the hell do you want with the tachyon particles? Then the reverse flash,
so I can achieve my goals. Beyond your own understanding.
And Dr. Wells is like, oh, I don't know. I'm a pretty smart guy. I knew that your speed and the way you were running were pretty fast. So any trap we straight up manufactured would have to be invisible. I knew your speed, and your cells could repair themselves so that you could withstand the damage that this cell/trap is doing to your body right now. And then Cisco's like, the capacitors, the containment field, it's straight up functioning. It's in the red. Dr. Wells, Joe, and the rest of the police need to get the heck out of there, like, right now. And then Dr. Wells is like, the reason I know all this is because your powers are exactly like those of the Flash. Then reverse flash.
I'm not like the Flash at all. Some would say I'm the reverse.
Every TV within Star Labs is glitching. Even the computers are glitching. And then Caitlin's like, Dr. Wells, get out of there now. I repeat, get out of there now. Dr. Wells. Then the reverse flash straight up phases out of the trap and grabs Dr. Wells, putting him in the trap with him. Joe's like, what the fuck? And then reverse flash straight up grabs Dr. Wells and throws him within the trap and begins kicking and kicking and kicking Dr. Wells. And he just throws him to the side of the corner, and he starts punching and punching and punching Dr. Wells multiple times. And then Joe's like, oh my gosh. Cisco! Hurry! Turn off the barrier! And then Cisco's like, if I turn it off now, that thing's gonna get out. And then Joe straight up screams, saying, Cisco, if you don't, he's gonna kill Wells! Then the reverse flash throws him again and just picks him up and straight up punches him really hard in the face as Dr. Wells collapses on the ground of the truck. Joe grabs a wrench and straight up uses it to break the operation thing that's holding the trap. As it's broken, the trap turns off. And then the reverse flash straight up takes the tachyon particles. Dr. Wells is like, "No!" Eddie screams in worry, "Find him!" As Eddie and the other police officers turn around, they see the reverse flash right behind them. And then Eddie's like, "Don't you move, or else we will shoot." Caitlin grabs her phone and texts Barry SOS. As Barry picks up the phone, he sees Caitlin's text message and straight up runs to Star Labs. The reverse flash uses his speed to knock out all three of the police officers unconscious. As the reverse flash grabs the gun from Eddie, he drops on the floor and looks Eddie straight in the eyes. Eddie is in complete utter shock and in fear by this. Joe tries to shoot the reverse flash, but the reverse flash dodges the attack and kicks Eddie to the ground. He then runs to Joe, grabbing him by the neck, saying,
"I warned you not to hunt me. Now, there's gonna be some serious consequences. And I'm not just talking about your daughter, no. To you as well."
And then Barry comes, and then the reverse flash starts running, and then Barry straight up runs after him. And Joe is in complete and utter shock, and so is Eddie and Dr. Wells. This big battle occurs between Barry and the reverse flash, as the two are fighting. Cisco and Caitlin both see this, and they're in complete and utter shock. Felicity can also see from one of the main security cameras as well. As she's looking through the security camera, she also sees the fight. And everyone else also witnesses the reverse flash grabbing Barry and throwing him through a car as the glass is broken. The reverse flash tries to attack Caitlin and Cisco, but Barry tries to attack the reverse flash instead. But in doing so, the reverse flash grabs Barry through the neck and straight up slams him to the ground. And then the reverse flash straight up attacks Barry by grabbing him and punching him twice through the stomach, and then throwing him onto the ground. And then straight up breaks one of his fingers and begins punching him numbers of times. As he straight up takes off his mask, he then kicks him down to the ground. As Caitlin screams, "Barry!" And then Felicity's like, "No. No!" As it looks like the reverse flash is about to kill Barry. Then we hear this bike. As the reverse flash hears this, the bike straight up slams into the reverse flash, and it has the reverse flash flying to the ground. As Barry looks up to see as to who exactly it is revealed to be Green Arrow. And Green Arrow's like, "Pick on someone your own size." As the reverse flash slowly gets up, he says,
"Our race is not yet done. See you soon, Flash."
As the reverse flash runs away. As Caitlin and Cisco run to Barry, Caitlin's like, "Are you okay? Oh, thank God. Oh, thank God you're here. You're alright." And then Barry says to Oliver, "Hey, thank you." Green Arrow says, "Don't mention it." Barry, you have yourself a safe Merry Christmas. As Green Arrow straight up leaves the area. The next shot pans out in Star Labs. Barry's like, "So Oliver just happened to just be there at the nick of time?" Felicity's like, "When the opposite Flash was in the trap, when everything was glitching out, I knew something was wrong, and I sent Oliver an SOS text message, and thank God he was in town. He was in town to, get some extra stuff for Christmas, and thankfully he was there in time to help you. If it wasn't for him, you would have been dead right now." Barry says, "Thank you for doing that, Pussy. Thank you. You may have just saved my life too." Talk about early Christmas miracle. Pussy says, "Don't mention it. I'm just glad you're okay and not dead." The next shot pans out where Barry and Joe head back to their house. As before they enter the house, Joe's like, "I got a Christmas surprise for you." Barry's like, "Oh yeah? What's that?" As Joe opens the door, Barry enters, and then he sees Felicity, Caitlin, and Cisco. And Barry's like, "What are you guys doing here?" Joe says, "I invited them." And Joe's like, "Where's Dr. Wells?" Caitlin says he's recovering at home, but he said he appreciated the invitation. And then Linda comes out from the kitchen, and she's like, "God, you guys thought I'd be missing out Christmas?" And then Barry laughs a bit, and then he gets a text message from Patty saying that she couldn't make it, that she's at Eddie's place for Christmas, and that he had some friends over celebrating with him. Barry doesn't text back. Linda's like, "You good, Barry?" Barry says, "Yeah, I'm fine." And Caitlin's like, "Eggnog?" And then Joe's like, "Yes, please." And then Felicity's like, "Merry early Christmas, Barry." And Barry's like, "Merry early Christmas to you too, Felicity. Thank you for coming. It means a lot." Felicity says, "You're welcome." "You okay?" Barry says, "Yeah, I'm fine. I'm fine now. But look on the bright side. The new year will be here before we know it." And then Joe's like, "Guys, come. I'm about to turn on the Christmas tree." As everybody gets up, they see this. They see the tree on. And Barry smiles. As we see the opening logo, we get this post-credit scene where we see everyone in the house enjoying themselves. Then we see this man looking straight from the house, from where he's standing. As he is standing from across the street, he sees Barry having fun with everybody in the house. And then it's revealed to be Ebar Dawn looking from across the street. As he smiles, he straight up says,
Merry Christmas.
And boom, that is the end of the episode. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Yes, this was the mid-season finale, and here's hoping this was a decent holiday mid-season finale for you Flash fans out there. And if you like this episode, please feel free to leave a like on it and share around with all your friends and family. Leave a comment down below, and don't forget to share the channel around. And stay tuned, because we got another episode coming of The Future Flash, and that is Season 1, Episode 9, titled Fire and Cold. So here's hoping you guys are excited for that, because that episode is going to be the mid-season premiere. And yeah, it's going to be really interesting, and I can't wait for you guys to see that episode. And yeah, if you guys are excited, please leave a like on this episode of The Future Flash, and please share the channel around, and please subscribe. And yeah, have a fantastic rest of your night / day wherever you are. And as always, peace out.